Good morning, students. This is in continuation with the chapter Reproduction in Plants. Today we are starting off with the sexual reproduction in plants. What is the advantage of sexual reproduction over asexual reproduction? Now, variations are seen in new organism. Mixing and matching of various characters from the two parents cause the formation of organism with different characteristics. Variation provide better chances of survival. Now, in sexual reproduction, what happens is there are two cells which is received from both the parents, and they fuse. As they are combining or as they are fusing, what is happening is there is mixing of the characters that are taking place both from the parent side and the mother side. They have their own individual characteristics, so when they combine or the fusion is happening, there is mixing and matching of various characters that is taking place. Now we know slowly the environmental conditions are changing. Now suppose if the organism has the same characteristics, now how will it adapt to the changing environmental conditions, right? Only if there is variation or there is a change, that change will provide a better chance of survival for an organism. So that's why we see sexual reproduction is of an advantage. Suppose if there is no change at all, the characteristic of organism is same from a very long time, then those characteristics will not help the organism to survive. Because of variation or a change, it will provide a better chance for the organism to survive. Unisexual flowers. Some flowers like cucumber and papaya, they have either male or female organs. It means they have either male reproductive structure or female reproductive structure. They don't have both male and female reproductive structure in the same flower. So these are called unisexual flowers. Bisexual flowers. Flowers like rose and mustard have both male and female organs. They have both male and female reproductive structure in the same flower. Okay, that's why they are known as bisexual flowers. Now let's try to understand the structure of the flower. First of all, the outermost structure is the sepals. Usually they are greenish in color. Some flowers actually lack colorful petals. In certain flowers, colorful petals are lacking. That time, sepals become colorful. So in certain flowers, when the petals are not so colorful, they are dull in nature, that time sepals are usually colorful. Next is petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract the insect for a process known as pollination. I will explain to you what is this pollination. Okay, for now remember, petals are usually brightly colored to attract the insects for a process called as pollination. Now next is the male reproductive structure or the stamen. Stamen has got the presence of pollen grain. If you open the stamen, you can see yellowish powdery structure. So that is nothing but the pollen, and inside the pollen there's presence of male reproductive cell or the male gamete. Pistil or carpel is a female reproductive structure. Now the base of the carpel is known as a ovary. Okay, inside the ovary there is presence of a structure called as ovule, and inside the ovule there is female reproductive cell or female gamete. The base of the pistil or carpel is nothing but the ovary. Inside the ovary there is a spherical structure called as a ovule, and that ovule contains a female gamete. Accessory reproductive organs, sepals and petals. Now sepals or petals are not directly involved in reproduction, but they assist or they help indirectly in the reproduction. But whereas pistil and stamen, they are involved directly in the reproduction. These are sepals and petals. That's why they are known as accessory reproductive organs, because they are not directly involved in reproduction. but whereas stamens and pistils are directly involved. Now, what is this pollination? We will try to understand what is pollination. Pollination is a process of moving pollen grain to the stigma of a carpel. Now, when you look at the structure of the pistil or a carpel, this is how it looks. It has got the ovary. It has got a tube-like structure called as style, and then a knob-like structure called as stigma. Now, pollen grains, it is nothing but the transfer of pollen grains, okay, from to the stigma. So the pollen grain falls on the stigma of a carpel. From the anther, what happens? The anther bursts open to release the pollen grains, and the pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of a carpel. That is nothing but pollination. Since plants cannot move themselves actively, they need agents of pollination to carry pollen grain called pollinators. Now, since plants are stationary, they cannot move. So, they need certain agents who can transfer the pollen. They are known as pollinators. Types of pollination. Pollination may take place within the same flower or between different flowers of the same kind. We have two types. One is self-pollination, that is, pollen grain falls on the stigma of the same flower. For example, there is a flower in that both male and female reproductive structure are there. Then what happens? The pollen falls on the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant. Same plant has got many flowers, right? Either it can fall, the pollen can fall on the stigma of the same flower or another flower present in the same plant. That is self-pollination. Example is soya beans and peaches. Now, what is cross-pollination? In cross-pollination, pollen grains are delivered by pollinators to the stigma of another plant of the same kind. So, now there are two plants, okay? There are two plants, so the pollen has to be transferred. So, how is it delivered? It is done by the pollinators. So, here in cross-pollination, pollen grains are delivered by pollinators to the stigma of another plant of the same kind. Okay, but here the plants are few distance apart. Here it was the same plant. Here there are two plants that are involved of the same kind. Okay, usually self-pollination is seen in bisexual flowers which has got both male and female reproductive structure. Okay, self-pollination is seen in bisexual flower. Cross-pollination is usually seen in unisexual flowers. This is just for your information. Agents of pollination. Insect pollination. Butterflies and bees fly from flower to flower in search of nectar. So in the process, they carry pollen sticking to their body from one flower to the stigma of another. See, there are several pollinators. One is insect. One of them is insect. Okay, so in search of nectar, the butterflies and bees move from one flower to another. So pollen grains stick onto their body, and finally they fall onto the stigma of another flower. Example, hibiscus and orchids. Wind pollination. The wind scatters pollen from one flower to the pistil of another flower, which may be quite far away. Even by means of wind, the pollens can be transferred. Example, grasses, oaks and pines. Water pollination. Pollen grains float on the surface of water to travel from one flower to another. So, pollen grains can also float on the surface of water. Zoophily. This is a form of pollination where pollen is carried and dispersed by birds and mammals. So animals and birds are also involved in the dispersal of the pollens. So it is by means of insect, wind, water, and birds and animals. Next, moving on to the fertilization process. Now, fertilization is nothing but the fusion of two gametes, that is the male and the female gametes. Now, the pollen has been transferred onto the stigma. What is the next step? Next step is nothing but the fusion has to take place. The product of this fusion is called zygote. After the male and female reproductive cell fuse, then a product called as a zygote, which is a single cell, is formed. Now this is how the fertilization takes place. Now the pollen grains fall on the stigma. Okay, the pollen grains burst out. We know that inside the pollen grain we have the presence of male gamete. So pollen grains, what happens, they come out or they burst and finally they form a tube-like structure called as pollen tube. Now this pollen tube has got the presence of a male gamete or the male reproductive cell. Now inside the ovary is the ovule, inside the ovule is the egg cell. Now over here is the egg cell, this is the egg cell. So what happens to the pollen tube? The male gamete is carried and there is a fusion that is taking place with the egg cell, and finally zygote is being formed. So pollen grain falls and the pollen grains burst open and a pollen tube is formed and it carries the male gamete to the egg cell and fusion will take place. Okay, and finally after fertilization we see the ovary is the one that forms the fruits, whereas the ovule forms the seed. Remember, the ovary, this ovary forms a fruit, whereas the ovule, okay, forms the seed. Now inside the seed is a developing embryo.